Hey, today we're doing a slightly different video. I mean, it's kind of a similar video, but it's a little bit of a different format because I'm including this machine right here. And this is an ASUS ROG STRIX. It's got a Ryzen 5900HX in there. I know it's from last year, but it's pretty good. Basically, it's not a Mac. These are Macs, okay? I've got the M1 Max MacBook Pro 16-inch and the M2 MacBook Pro 13-inch. But this is one of the top processors for a mobile laptop in an ASUS for 2021. Not 22, so don't bite my head off. That's what I got right now. But it's still a really good machine. So what the heck are we doing today? Well, if you take a look at the screens here, you might have noticed, or you might not have noticed, that I have Ubuntu running on all three of these. Same version of Ubuntu. I have an Anaconda environment installed on these, and I have Python 3.8 installed. Basically, I just mirrored the environment on all three of these. Well, how the heck am I running Ubuntu on my Apple Silicon machines? Easy, through Parallels. Parallels is probably the best virtualization platform right now for Apple Silicon machines. It can do Windows for ARM and it can do Linux for ARM. That's what I have here. So I've just spun up a new instance of Linux and I'm gonna try this out. I wanna see how quickly it can execute my Mandelbrot test. This is the test that I commonly do on this channel. If you're not familiar with that, you go to Benchmarks Game. This has a list of different algorithms implemented in different languages. And the one I picked was Python. You people seem to really enjoy that one. And there is Python. Basically, this will run a really processor intensive algorithm. If you're not familiar with that, Mandelbrot was a mathematician that created the fractals pattern, and that's what this is. It just basically uses all your processors available and it runs on all processors in parallel, so it's a really good multi-core test. This tells you how to run it. I've already set everything up. You don't need to watch me do that. I just copied the code over to a Python script and we're ready to go. So all I gotta do is just time it. So I wanna make sure that all these are exactly the same. I'm gonna issue the time command, then Python, run my file, give it the parameter, which is 16,000 in my case. You can change the parameter up, but that seems to be enough. And the output spits out the fractal patterns in ASCII characters, which I don't care much for. Plus it might affect the result. So I'm gonna just spit it out to DevNull, get rid of the output altogether to get that time. And we're gonna use our friend, the Schwarzenegger. Maybe I should put some stickers on this thing. What do you think? If you got any ideas for stickers, let me know. Oh, and if you don't know what Schwarzenegger is, it's basically a bunch of fingers connected to a board. So I can run these things at the same time. All right, I think we're set up and let's go. This one didn't reach. Messed up my test. That's okay, we'll still get the time printed out at the end. And it shouldn't take too long. All right, now while that's working away, I want you to take a guess. Go ahead, put it in the comments down below. Do you think that running Linux natively on hardware on this PC machine will be faster than Linux virtualized on these two Macs? That's one question. The second question is, do you think the M2 or the M1 Max will be faster at doing this? I have an answer. It's right here. Ready to see it? Check it out. So we'll start with the M1 Max. The M1 Max finished this in 47 seconds. 47.5 to be exact. The M2 was slower, and I don't think this is related to the hard drive being slower. You know, the hard drives are notoriously slow on these base models, M2s. So I don't know what's causing that slowdown, but I do have 8 processors dedicated to the virtual machine on this machine and 8 processors dedicated to it on this machine. 59 seconds, 59.7 on the M2 versus 47, so more than 10 seconds slower. And the ASUS machine with the Ryzen 5900HX, that one finished in 47 seconds, 0.4. Very close. Again, this is a virtual machine. This is not. So not bad for the virtual machines. I'm gonna do that test one more time just to see if the results are close or not. Oh, so close, so close. Okay, 47.3 this time on the M1 Max virtual machine Linux, 47.1 on the hardware Linux on the ASUS box, and 1 minute on the M2. The M2 is the one being the loudest here, folks. The Ryzen box is not making any noises. This one is obviously silent, the M1 Max. Not obviously, it sometimes has noise, but right now there's zero noise coming out of there. But the M2 MacBook Pro, those fans are audible. Pretty surprising and pretty interesting results, right? Were you right? Did you guess correctly? Don't change your comment if you did or didn't. I want to see your honest answer down below. Oh, and by the way, that whole test was plugged in for the Ryzen machine, but I've just unplugged it and ran that again, and we got 50 seconds, 0.8. So unless it's plugged in, you're gonna get a slower time than the MacBook Pro. Keep those Ryzen and Intel machines plugged in, folks. All right, this was fun. I'll see you all next time.